Good day, folks. Welcome back to Ed's Garage. So today we are looking at the 2024 Hyundai Tucson Preferred trim. So in the United States, this is going to be like an SEL or kind of a cross between an SE and an SEL, I think. I don't know that you guys have the exact same trim down there, but it should be pretty close to the SEL, I believe. I think you have one that has like a sunroof and stuff like that. We call that the Trend package here. So anyway, this is the Preferred in Canada, 2024 model, of course. And what I'd like to do is show you all the cool features on this vehicle and what it's all about, how much space it's got, the build quality, that sort of thing. So we're going to start at the front. And on the front, of course, the Tucson grille has these really cool LED daytime running lights that kind of merge into the grille, which is awesome. They stay on when your headlights are on. So right now, the LED headlights are on. So these are on as well. It's quite bright here, and you can see that it's kind of the refresh rate of the camera is kind of picking it up a little bit. But also LED high beams there as well. And then you can see right here, we have the forward-facing radar system. And there's also a camera in the windshield. Now those are, of course, combined use of those is for the adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking system, that sort of thing. And also lane keep assist. That's that upper camera is doing that as well. So coming around the side, see we have aluminum alloy wheels. Now these are wet tires, so it's hard to see what they say. These are a Nexen tire. Let me see what the size is. These are 235, 65, 17-inch. So 17-inch tires, wheels, but they are at least aluminum alloy, which is nice. You got the marker lights on the mirrors. You got the blind spot icon in the mirror there as well. We have proximity entry, and there's a light in there that comes on when you approach the vehicle. Coming around to the back, see we got just regular incandescent tail lights back here. We've got amber turn signals on the bottom there on the bumper. Now, in case you're wondering why those are so low, well, that's because they can't be mounted on the hatch. They need to be mounted on a fixed position of the vehicle, but also it gets them below the fog line if it's really foggy out, so you'll be able to see those quite easily. We have the backup camera right here, and you'll notice the window wiper actually is tucked up underneath here, so you can't see it. Now, this one is equipped with Hyundai's H-Track all-wheel drive system, a system designed and engineered right here in Canada, in conjunction with Magna in Canada and Austria. But yeah, it's a really, really good all-wheel drive system, predictive system, so it doesn't just wait for the front wheels to slip. It puts power to all four wheels right away under any sort of acceleration, and then also whenever you're slipping. Opening up the manual tailgate, we have quite a bit of space back here, actually. If I remember correctly, it's about 950 liters back here until you fold the seats down. Then it's something like 1,900 liters. It's actually huge. So compared to the previous generation Tucson, this is a much bigger vehicle. So quick access to fold down the seats from here, which is nice. And I'm going to show you what they do in a moment. Underneath the floor, you can see we've got some storage. Underneath that is nothing. All right, so you could put a spare tire in here if you wanted to. However, from factory, it just comes with the tire mobility kit, which honestly is going to be just fine for most people. Now, you'll also notice that this actually can be dropped down to a lower position if you need a little bit of extra height. Also, good to keep in mind, this cover is actually a nice, it looks like fiberglass. It's an actual manufactured product. It's really, really strong. It's very robust, and it'll stand up on its own. On the left side, you can see we've got the power outlet here, 12-volt power outlet. And then, of course, you have tie-downs in all four corners. Just real quick before we look under the hood, this is what I wanted to show you. These seats will actually lock into position when they're put down, and that'll stop them from bouncing around when you're going over bumps. And then to raise them up, it's a simple one-handed movement just like that. But before we check out the back seat, let's have a quick look under the hood. All right, underneath the hood of the 2024 Tucson. Now this one is the 2-liter 4-cylinder gas direct injection Smart Stream engine. This makes 185 horsepower, 178 foot-pounds of torque. So not a torquey beast by any means, but perfectly acceptable and pretty actually reasonable on fuel as well. Getting about 32 miles per gallon on the highway, 25 in the city. I'll put what that works out to in liters per 100 on the screen for you here as well. But a couple things to note underneath the hood. We have Easy access to the air filter, so that's pretty cool. So anyone can change that air filter quite easily. Lots of room around the outside. Breakaway motor mounts, of course, in the event of a forward collision. You'll also notice that we've got some nice covering, some insulation on both sides, some insulation on the hood, insulation on the firewall. It's a pretty quiet vehicle when you're driving. You also see a lot of that structural adhesive in there as well, which Hyundai really loves to use to make the vehicle just a bit more rigid as well. So on top of the advanced high-strength steel construction that they tend to use a lot of because of the fact that they're the only company that makes their own steel. Now, as far as warranty in Canada, it's a 5-year, 100,000 kilometer warranty on almost every component in this vehicle. Sorry, it's going to be a little bit loud here for this helicopter flying over. But yeah, really, really good warranty in Canada. You also get 3 years of Blue Link, assuming your vehicle is equipped with Blue Link, and 3 months free Sirius XM satellite radio. In regard to Blue Link, yes, this one actually does include Blue Link. So what that is a telematic system, so you can remotely start the car with your heated seats and heated steering wheel turned on for a specific amount of time at a specific temperature, cabin temperature, and you can set up multiple presets, so you can remote start it differently in the winter than you do in the summer and that sort of thing. It also has automated emergency systems, so if you get into an accident, it calls emergency services to your location automatically, which is awesome. And so much more. And that's free for 3 years in Canada. I believe it's free for a year in the United States. But anyway, let's have a look at the back seat and we'll go from there. All right, not a whole lot to talk about back here as this is a lower trim level. However, there is a ton of space. Check this out. I've got loads of room underneath the front seat there for my feet, lots of room in front of my knees. I've got lots of room above my head, and I've also got a nice reclining seat. Check this out. Look at how far back this goes. Compare that to pretty much any compact SUV in the market. This has one of the best back seats for comfort. You also have a nice fold down cup holder armrest, and it's nice and cushy with a couple of cup holders in there. No cushion on the driver's side, unfortunately. You do have a bottle holder though in the door, and you got that nice strip of black plastic there, which kind of carries on to the front and around the dashboard. So pretty reasonably nice place to be. You got the grab handle up here, you got your own light. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to talk about. No solid seat backs in the Tucson, but there is seat pockets on both of the seat backs, and there is vents back here as well. All right, let's check out the front seat. All right, before I jump in the front seat, however, just want to show you the key fob here. It does have remote start on the key fob, and something that Hyundai does really, really nicely, actually, is when you remote start the vehicle, just like that, and then you walk up and get in the car, one thing to note is that you don't need to then start the car again. Watch, if I put my foot on the brake, boom, it comes to life, and everything's running. So that's kind of nice. I don't have to remember to press the start button a second time. Now, if you remote start with Blue Link, it's a little different. You do need to get in and press the button. Not sure why they did that, but that's the way that works. Now, I mentioned the advanced high-strength steel earlier, and I just want to touch on that real quick. Check this out. There is no weld point in the door. Check this out, all the way around, solid there, solid down here. When you're looking for a car, be mindful of that. If it's not a Hyundai product, what you're going to notice is you're going to notice a welding point there, a welded point there, and a welded point there. Hyundai, of course, being the only company that manufactures its own steel, they can do this. They can do this sort of single stamped metal door, which of course increases the overall safety of the vehicle, but also reduces creaks and squeaks over time because things are a little bit more solid. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your next vehicle. Now, not every single Hyundai is like that. Some of the lower vehicles, like the Venue, for instance, do have welded points in those different sections, but comparatively speaking to the industry, Hyundai does single stamp doors a lot more. So, okay, let's talk about these seats. So very, very comfortable seats, although in this trim level, they are just manual seats for the front seats. However, the driver's side does have adjustable height, and you may have noticed how much space I had underneath the front seat, and the seat was actually mostly down. You can see I'm raising it up now. There's a lot of maneuverability on this seat. You can really, really put it where you need to. The steering wheel is tilt and telescopic as well, and it does have that really nice full 360 degree heated steering wheel, so not just the grips like some other companies. On the left-hand side, you can see we've got our dimmer switch here and our traction and stability control. The left stalk has, of course, your headlight control, and it even has automatic high beams, so you can turn on your high beams and they will shut off automatically. On the right hand side, you got your windshield washer wiper stock with, of course, the rear wiper as well, but the rear wiper can be set to automatically come on when the front wipers are on and you put it in reverse. On the left hand side of the steering wheel, we have several buttons to talk about. So this one here is your voice recognition system for the built-in system. So you press that, that'll access your built-in system just like that, to which you can then talk to it. Or if you hold it down, it's your Apple CarPlay, Siri, or Android Auto Google Assistant. Mode button selects where music's coming from. This is your volume up, down, and mute. Next song, or next preset, previous preset, answer calls, and a customizable button that I like to set up for the home screen. So these are all the different things you can actually choose it to do. I'm just going to put that on home so that when I press it, boom, goes back to the home screen. On the right-hand side of the steering wheel, you can see we have our controls for the little center screen here, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So that's these two buttons. We have our lane follow assist, or lane centering, basically. So this will keep the vehicle centered in the lane, will steer itself. And you can use this at any time. You don't actually have to be on cruise control, which is nice. And this one, even though this is a more entry-level Tucson, does have adaptive cruise control. So it'll maintain its distance between you and the car in front of you. This turns on your cruise. This increases the speed, decreases the speed, pauses and resumes. This also sets it, but when you turn it on, it'll also set the speed right away as well. And then this one here will adjust the distance between you and the car in front of you. Looking over at the center console, we have a reasonable space center console there, lots of storage. We have our heated seats, both front seats, of course, and a heated steering wheel. We have a power e-brake, which will turn itself off when you put the car into drive or reverse. We have our auto hold button, which will stop the vehicle from moving forward when you take your foot off the brake. Hill descent assist, which is like a reverse cruise control for going down steep hills, but it only works up to 40 kilometers an hour, so it's only for very short, steep hills. We have our drive terrain and mode selectors. We have our backup camera button here, so you can turn the backup camera on at any time. And check this out, a very, very clear image, high resolution camera, and of course dynamic steering lines, and the option to flip the screen straight down, and you can still see the bumper along the bottom. You still get that dynamic steering line. On the right hand side, it just basically keeps whatever you had there on the split screen, which again, we'll talk about that in a bit. As far as the last button on here is your auto start stop system. So the vehicle will shut off at stoplights and stop signs when you come to a stop, but Hyundai does it really, really well, and it actually will fire up the engine as you start to lift off the brake, which is nice. We have our USB port here for the direct connection to the screen. That's for your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, or a USB stick full of music. Now, what this vehicle does not have is wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You do need to plug it in. Now, you can fix that. If you really want wireless, check out the description of this video. I'm going to include a link to the Link iFun GT6 Android AI box that allows you to use wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and also even Netflix, Prime Video, YouTube, Android games, whatever you can think of, any app that you can install on an Android device. It runs Android 12, and you can install pretty much any Android app and run it on your little screen there. You can use your screen like a full-on computer. It's awesome. So check the description below for a link to that and my Ed's Garage discount code to get 15% off if you're interested in getting one. As far as the other port there, that is, of course, to charge another device. And, of course, you have a 12-volt outlet. No wireless charger in this one, but that's another thing you could plug into there and put down here if you wanted to add wireless charging. We have on this very, very shiny black, piano black console here, the dual zone automatic climate control. 3 levels of automatic, which is nice. So if you don't want the climate control to be so intense, you can reduce it, but you can still keep it on automatic. Separate temperatures for each side, of course, and automatic recirculation. So if I go into the climate settings on the screen here, let's see, where are my climate settings? There they are. Go to climate settings. You'll notice we actually have, with recirculate the air, activate upon washer fluid use or upon entering tunnels. So if you're going through a tunnel, the recirculate will actually turn itself on so you don't have to smell the tunnel. Or if you're using the windshield washer fluid, as you can see, recirculate just turned itself on. Super cool. All right, skipping that for the moment, we look up a little higher. We have our manually controlled rear view mirror. We have our buttons for Blue Link connection, so call for roadside assistance and call for emergency assistance. All the lights on, and all the lights on when the door is open, and then of course individual map lights. Both of the sun visors do slide, and both have mirrors and lights as well. But let's talk about this little center screen here. There's a few things that I'd like to cover. So if I zoom in on that, now one thing you'll notice is that currently we're on drive info. It's just showing our trip computer from the last startup. However, I can use these two buttons to control that screen. So the top button is going to cycle along the icons along the top of the screen there. It's just going to go from left to right and then bounce back to the left again. And then the little toggle switch underneath that allows me to go within the submenus of those screens. And then if I hold it, it's an OK button. So looking at this screen here, you see it says hold OK for settings. So that'll take us into the settings on the larger screen. At the top of the screen, you can see the current gear that we have selected. And right next to that, we have our range until the fuel tank is empty. Bottom right, we have our exterior temperature as well as how many kilometers are on the vehicle. And then you can see our lane keep assistance icon is on. If I press the lane centering, that icon turns on as well. And then our auto start stop icon is there as well. When those turn green, that basically means that they are active. Now, if I use that up and down button, I can go down to one additional screen here. This is the attention level. So if the vehicle determines that we're getting tired, it'll actually suggest that we take a coffee break. Pressing that top button once takes us over to the drive information screen again. So this is the trip computer since we started the car. If I drop it down, here's our trip computer since we last refueled, which will reset because it's going to be inaccurate right now. And if I go down one more time, this is our accumulated info. Again, I'm going to reset that because it's going to be inaccurate just because the vehicle has been standing and running for long periods of time. And if I go down again, we have our auto stop timer, and then finally our digital speedometer. Pressing that top button again bumps us once over to the built-in compass. However, if I use the built-in navigation with the voice recognition, find the nearest Walmart,
please say
line 1.
Would you like
yes. So now what you're going to see is that this compass is going to change to our turn-by-turn direction screen. There we go. So it's telling me just to head in a direction for 3.2 kilometers. And if I go down one, it'll show me our distance and the time of arrival. All right, pressing the top button again takes us to the all-wheel drive info screen, which just shows little blue lines up when you start to accelerate, basically indicating where power is going, which wheel is getting power. And then if I go down one, it takes us to our tire pressure monitor, which will give us tire pressures once we start moving. Pressing it again takes us back to the attention level screen. All right, then our last thing to talk about is, of course, the infotainment screen. So lots of things here. I'm not going to talk about this too much because actually it hasn't really changed since 2022. So I'll touch on a few things, but let's have a look here. So we've got some buttons along the bottom. These are our hard buttons. I know that they're not actual physical buttons, but they work relatively well. So when you have the radio on, obviously you have your volume control. Right now it's not going to do anything because the radio is turned off. This one here is actually a power button. So now you can see the volume actually works. So the power button will turn the radio on and off. If I hold it, it'll turn the whole screen off. And I can also set it up so that it pops up a clock when you shut it off. The map button, of course, takes you to the map. Nav button takes you to where you can enter in addresses. This is a customizable button. I always set that to phone projection so that it's a quick and easy way to get back into Apple CarPlay Android Auto. Seek and Tracker, obvious. Radio takes you to the radio screen. And just one thing I want to point out with the radio screen here, all of your channels, all of your presets will actually go to the left here. So if I go to an FM station and add, you'll see we have an FM station preset as well as a Sirius XM preset. So all of your presets show up in this list here. You'll also notice we do have HD radio. So let me show you HD radio real quick because that's pretty cool. So not only will HD radio give you a better signal in some cases, but it'll also give you HD radio traffic. So if there's any traffic in your area, it'll also give you a Doppler radar. So if there's any rain in your area, and then also fuel prices, which is super cool. So it tells you where to get the cheapest fuel. So here's $1.46. And if I hit go, we can actually set that as the destination and it'll take us right to that gas station. Super cool.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
Just like that. Other things in here to note. So the home screen right here, this is a functional screen. So if I tap anywhere on these sections, it'll actually bring me into the corresponding thing. As you can see here, we have our regular applications that come with the car. Quiet mode, by the way, just shuts off the rear speakers and limits the volume in the front speakers. Everything else in here is pretty straightforward. Right here is our BlueLink stuff. So in BlueLink, we can actually see a calendar that you can link up to your Google Calendar or Apple Calendar. Weather, you can actually check the weather forecast. So not just a Doppler radar, but forecast of your area, both for the day as well as the week. Diagnostics, maintenance, pretty obvious stuff there. And that's pretty much it in the main sort of menu. If I go to setup here, this is kind of nice. You can really control what the car does under various circumstances. So as I mentioned before, it does have the forward autonomous emergency braking, which you can customize. You can also change the driver attention warning system, the lane keep assist system, the blind spot safety system, parking system, all this stuff. Check this out. Even when you're reversing, rear cross traffic safety provides a warning and vehicle control. It'll actually hit the brakes when a risk of a rear cross traffic collision is detected while reversing. So very safe vehicle and lots of options for the price point. All right, that's actually where I'm going to end the video today. So if you haven't seen my previous Tucson videos, please check them out. I do have a couple where I go much more in depth on that infotainment screen, but suffice to say, everything you can think of an infotainment screen being able to do, this one can do. And this is only the second trim level up. One below this, called the Essential, actually is the only one that has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but doesn't have built-in navigation. So this is the one to choose though, because you get the built-in navigation, the larger, nicer screen, the heated steering wheel, they all have heated seats, the adaptive cruise control, lane keep assistance, all that great stuff. It's a really good trim level, and it's a great entry-level SUV for anybody in the market. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.